Welcome to Knife Thoughts. This video is going to be on this knife, and this is the Gradation Cutlery, Titty Ute Cutlery, number 72 Plainsman. So this has the full tang stamp number 725124, which means it's a 72 pattern. It has a drop point blade, has one blade, and it was made in 2024, and then it has ebony covers. So this is basically a new iteration of this 72 pattern for 2024, and it's one that really, to be completely honest with you, I wasn't very interested in initially. I didn't feel like I needed another knife in this type and size. This is basically a trapper style knife. It's like the 73 trapper, but not exactly the same. And, it's a knife that initially I wasn't going to buy. And then I decided, I should get one. I should make a video on it, check it out. Why not, right? And I tried to get some on the drop and wasn't able to. I missed a couple different drops. And then finally a fellow Bearcat from the Barlow Bearcat Club, Ben, was kind enough to buy an extra one from Knife Ship Free, which is actually really between Knife Ship Free and traditional pocket knives, my preferred places to buy gradation cutlery knives, and sent it to me basically for cost. So I really appreciated that, and people have been really excited about these knives. They have been made really, really well. Recently GEC has had a good number of gaps between covers and bolsters, in my opinion, and around shields and things like that. Had some issues with the ebony on previous runs, which I'll talk about a little later, but these have been really, really nicely made. So I want to show you some of those things here. There's no gaps between the covers and the bolsters. Really nicely done there. No gaps on the back spring. Beautifully done. No gaps even on the shield. This shield is really well fitted. As far as I can tell, it is pretty much solid there. And then the pins are all well done. It has great action. Really nice and snappy. I would call the pull definitely at least a 7. I would say 7 on this, maybe slightly more, but probably right around a 7. But you can see really snaps to half stop and really snaps closed. So I really enjoy that. You gotta love a good action. It's also very nicely centered, and the tip is not proud. It is relatively close, but that's very common on this style of knife, this particular style of handle. So it's not proud. I appreciate that. So really, really nicely made knife. Now, I mentioned that some previous runs of ebony recently have had issues. If you saw my video on the number 47 Vipers, I'll link it hopefully up here. If not, you can find it on my channel. And basically, I got a couple of those because I really wanted an ebony Viper, and they both had basically shrinkage of the ebony. And what that ends up doing is it makes the liners exposed. So you could catch your fingers on them, and you can see that I'm starting to be able to on this. It's actually, I think, more pronounced over here. So you might even be able to see a little bit of proudness of the liners there. And I believe that it also was on the Rider by GEC, which was the most recent special factory order for Charlie Campagna. I think you might actually be able to see the overhang right here a little bit too. And why is that happening, whereas it didn't necessarily happen at least as much on previous runs of ebony? It's probably just the supply of ebony that they got. It's really hard to tell, but something, is different or is making the ebony that GEC is using shrink. And it's unfortunate because, man, I really love the look of this ebony. This ebony is so dark that they have been using. It's incredibly dark. It's just like straight up black. Whoops, don't drop the knife. I guess it's kind of slippery too, but it's very black and looks great. I really do love the look of this ebony, color-wise, grain-wise, all of that, and especially with this nice, simple bar shield. It really gives it a vintage look to me. Having this dark ebony and this nice, simple bar shield, very traditional looking to me. You could put, you could probably get your initials monogrammed on this or etched on this, which I think is really cool when you can do that. I have a 98 Texas camp knife that I had that done on. I actually have it right here because I used it camping this weekend. I wanted to get it done on the Charlie Campagna number 35 recent camp knife, but basically the shield was loose, so the jeweler that I took it to said that they couldn't do it. So unfortunately, or actually just an engraver that I took it to, but I think you could get this engraved probably, and it would look really, really classy. Now, one thing that I don't love about this pattern, and really one of the big things that was going to keep me away from it, is how deep the blade sits. And it's not even that it sits deep, but that there's very little of the blade above the blade well. So you pretty much have to use this nail nick. And I do prefer to be able to pinch knives open, particularly single blade knives. So I don't love that. If I was going to make this a user, I might try to put an easy open notch here, or a very small easy open notch. I'm not sure. The nail nick's a little far up. I would be, you wouldn't want to hit this pin, but you might be able to put like a small easy open notch right here. I've done similar things. Oh, not that knife. On other knives. Now, it's not necessarily an easy open because you do have to use the nail nick, but something like this, which is a possum skinner, just to give you better access to those nail nicks. But I don't really plan to do it on this particular knife, but it's something that I kind of considered. I prefer to be able to pinch that, but the nail nick works great. It's not like it's difficult to get in there. I mean, if you needed to use your index finger, you could. It's not so strong a pull that it's going to break your nail or anything like that. So overall, a really nicely made knife. Really no actual manufacturing issues, which you love to see. It's always frustrating to get a knife from GEC with gaps and things like that. So I'm really excited to see people responding so well to this run, and for it having been made so nicely. I hope that this doesn't shrink too much, but I kind of expect it to shrink some more. It's unfortunate. I did send in the 47 Vipers, as I mentioned, and basically they fixed it by polishing the liners down, I believe. So, it's something to keep in mind. You could probably have them do that if you get one that does shrink. But overall, it's just a beautiful knife. Certainly a nice little knife that could be a great user if you would want to make it one. I have pretty wide hands, and my hand fits on it fine, even with a full 4-finger grip. And the drop point blade is great. In fact, other people have made this comparison, at least in the Boiler Bearcat Club. But I think a good comparison is to the 71. So the 71, the bullnose, also has a drop point blade. It has a similar handle shape. It just doesn't have that swell in the center. But it's a very, very similar knife. If you're familiar with the 71, this 72, you could think of it as like a classed up 71 bullnose. So if you want a knife that feels similar but is a little classier looking, I think that this is a great option. Now, will you be able to get one? I don't know, because they're super hard to get, as everyone who's interested in GEC knows, and these have already mostly dropped, but I hope you can find one. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe to my website via email, knifethoughts.com. I'll have a link to do it in the description, but you can also do it at the site. That's how you can best stay up to date with Knife Thoughts. I'm going to be posting there more articles, posting like video roundups and things like that. So make sure you subscribe via email to knifethoughts.com. Also subscribe to the channel here and click the bell so you get notifications. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.